Picture this. You're living your entire life based on what others expect from you. Your career choice. Your parents decided that. Your lifestyle. Society approved it. Your daily decisions all filtered through the question, what will people think? Now imagine waking up one day and realizing you've been living someone else's dream. 5 centuries ago, Niccolo Machiavelli wrote something that still resonates. He said, "The greatest mistake you can make is living for the approval of others." And he wasn't talking about being selfish or cruel. He was talking about something far more profound. Today, we're diving deep into one of Machiavelli's most misunderstood yet powerful philosophies. Live for yourself, not for others. Now, before you click away thinking this is about being narcissistic or self-centered, hear me out. Machiavelli's wisdom isn't about ignoring everyone around you. It's about understanding a brutal truth. When you live to please others, you end up pleasing no one, including yourself. In this video, I'll break down exactly what Machiavelli meant, why this philosophy is more relevant today than ever before, and most importantly, how you can actually apply these principles to transform your life without becoming the villain in your own story. Number 1. Stop seeking validation from the crowd. The crowd's approval is a prison with invisible bars. When you constantly seek validation from others, you're essentially handing them the remote control to your life. They decide when you're happy, when you're worthy, when you're enough. Here's the harsh reality. People's opinions are like weather. They change constantly. Today, they praise you. Tomorrow they criticize you. The person who loves your decision today will question it tomorrow. If you build your life on this unstable foundation, you'll spend your entire existence in anxiety, constantly adjusting yourself to match their ever-changing expectations. Machiavelli observed that the most powerful individuals in history never waited for permission. They didn't take a poll before making decisions. They understood that seeking validation is like chasing your own shadow. The more you run toward it, the further it moves away. Think about your own life right now. How many decisions have you postponed because you're worried about what people will say? How many dreams have you buried because someone might judge you? That relationship you didn't pursue, that business you didn't start, that city you didn't move to, all sacrificed at the altar of other people's opinions. But here's what Machiavelli knew. Those people aren't living your life. They won't be there at 300 a.m. when you're dealing with regret. They won't feel the weight of your unfulfilled potential. They're busy living their own lives, making their own choices, while you're stuck in the waiting room of their approval. Most people are too busy worrying about their own lives to actually care about yours as much as you think. That's harsh judgment. You fear. It's often just a projection of your own insecurities. Living for yourself means making decisions based on your values, your goals, your vision, not the imaginary audience in your head. It means accepting that disapproval is inevitable, but regret is optional. When you stop performing for the crowd, you finally start living authentically. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I validate myself. Number 2. Master the art of strategic selfishness. When Machiavelli talked about self-interest, modern society labeled him as cynical or evil, but he wasn't advocating for ruthless exploitation. He was teaching strategic selfishness, the understanding that you cannot pour from an empty cup, and pretending otherwise destroys both you and those around you. Strategic selfishness means recognizing that your well-being is not negotiable. It's the oxygen mask principle. Secure your own mask before helping others. Yet, society has programmed us to feel guilty about prioritizing ourselves. We're taught that self-sacrifice is noble, that constantly putting others first makes us good people. But here's the uncomfortable truth Machiavelli understood. Chronic self-sacrifice doesn't make you a saint. It makes you a martyr. And martyrs are useful to others but miserable to themselves. When you consistently ignore your needs, you don't become more loving. You become resentful, exhausted, and bitter. Look at the most impactful people in history. They weren't doormats. They protected their time, energy, and resources fiercely because they understood that their mission required them to be strong, not depleted. You cannot change the world, support your family, or achieve your goals while running on empty. Strategic. Selfishness means saying no without guilt. It means protecting your morning routine even when others want your time. It means investing in your education, health, and growth before spending money to impress others. It means choosing the career that fulfills you, not the one that looks good on paper. This isn't about being cruel or uncaring. It's about understanding that the best version of you, the one that can actually contribute meaningfully to others, only exists when you prioritize your foundation first. A weak, depleted, resentful you helps no one. The people who guilt-trip you for having boundaries are often the ones benefiting from your lack of them. Machiavelli knew that true generosity comes from abundance, not depletion. When you're strong, fulfilled, and thriving, your ability to help others multiplies exponentially. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My needs matter. 2. Number 3. Your reputation is not your identity. Machiavelli spent his life studying power, and one of his most profound observations was this: your reputation is what others think of you, but your identity is who you actually are. Most people confuse these two and spend their entire lives building a reputation while losing their identity in the process. Society pushes us to curate perfect images. Social media has amplified this to an extreme. We carefully craft posts, filter photos, and share highlight reels, all to maintain a reputation. Meanwhile, behind closed doors, we're struggling, confused, and completely disconnected from our authentic selves. Your reputation is fragile because it exists in the minds of others, and you cannot control what's in their minds. Someone will always misunderstand you, misinterpret your actions, or spread rumors. If your sense of self depends on maintaining a spotless reputation, you'll live in constant fear and exhaustion. Machiavelli observed that truly powerful people understand this distinction. They know their character, their values, their mission. They don't waste energy managing everyone's perception. They accept that some people will love them, some will hate them, and most won't think about them at all. Imagine your reputation was completely destroyed tomorrow. Everything people think about you gone. What would remain? That's your identity. That's what actually matters. Your skills, your values, your relationships with people who truly know you, your actual character. These things exist independent of reputation. When you stop protecting your reputation so carefully, something amazing happens. You become free. Free to take risks, to fail publicly, to try new things, to be honest about your struggles. This authenticity, ironically, often builds a stronger reputation than all your careful curation ever could. The most respected people aren't those with perfect reputations. They're those with authentic identities. They're real, flawed, honest, and unapologetic about their journey. People respect realness far more than perfection. Living for yourself means prioritizing identity over reputation. It means making decisions based on who you are, not who others think you should be. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I know who I am. Number 4. Embrace calculated risk over comfortable mediocrity. Machiavelli famously wrote, "It is better to be feared than loved if you cannot be both." But the deeper wisdom here isn't about fear. It's about the willingness to be bold, rather than safe. He understood that playing it safe is the most dangerous strategy of all, because it guarantees a life of mediocrity. Most people choose comfort over growth, safety over potential, and approval over achievement. They take the secure job instead of starting the business. They stay in the lukewarm relationship instead of risking being alone. They keep their opinions silent instead of risking disagreement. This isn't living. It's existing in slow motion. Here's what society doesn't tell you. The safe path isn't actually safe. That secure corporate job, it can disappear in a single restructuring meeting. That comfortable relationship where you're hiding your true self, It's slowly killing your soul, that careful silence to avoid offending anyone. It's erasing your voice entirely. Machiavelli studied countless leaders and found a pattern. Those who took calculated risks, who were willing to face short-term discomforts for long-term gain, were the ones who shaped history. The ones who played it safe were forgotten no matter how carefully they navigated social expectations. Calculated risk doesn't mean recklessness. It means evaluating opportunities with clear eyes, understanding that growth requires discomfort, and accepting that you'll never feel ready. It means starting before you're prepared, speaking before you're certain, and moving before the path is clear. Think about the life you actually want, not the one that looks good to others, but the one that excites you when you imagine it. Now ask yourself, can you achieve that life by playing it safe, by always choosing comfort, by waiting for permission? The answer is no. Every significant achievement in your life will require you to risk something: your reputation, your comfort, your security, your current identity. The question isn't which risks align with your authentic goals versus which safe choices align with others' expectations. Drop this affirmation in the comments. I choose growth. Number 5. Stop explaining yourself to everyone. One of Machiavelli's most underrated insights was understanding the power of silence. He knew that constantly explaining and justifying your decisions to others is a sign of weakness, not consideration. When you live for yourself, you stop feeling the compulsive need to make everyone understand your choices. Here's a pattern you've probably experienced. You make a decision, someone questions it, and suddenly, you're in this exhausting loop of explanation. You're defending your choice, providing evidence, trying to convince them it's valid. But notice what's happening. You've given them power over your decision. You've made their approval a requirement for your peace. Machiavelli observed that powerful people don't explain themselves constantly. They make decisions, execute them, and let the results speak. They understand that people who truly respect you don't need constant justification, and people who don't respect you won't be convinced by your explanations anyway. This doesn't mean being secretive or dismissive. It means recognizing the difference between sharing information with people who've earned your trust versus defending yourself to people who are simply judging. When you explain yourself to everyone, you're essentially asking for permission to live your own life. Think about how much energy you waste in explanation mode. That family member who questions every career move. That friend who doesn't understand your lifestyle changes. Those acquaintances who think they know better than you about your own life. How many hours have you spent trying to make them understand? Here's the truth. They don't need to understand. Your life isn't a democracy where everyone gets a vote. You're not obligated to convince anyone that your choices are valid. The right people will support you without needing essays of explanation. The wrong people will question you, regardless of how perfectly you justify yourself. When you stop explaining, you reclaim your power. You send a clear message. I've made this decision. I'm committed to it, and I don't need your approval to proceed. This isn't arrogance. It's self-respect. It's understanding that your life belongs to you. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My choices stand alone. Number 6. Choose loyalty to your vision over loyalty to people's expectations. Machiavelli's writings often shock people because he suggested that loyalty to your purpose sometimes requires disappointing people. This sounds harsh until you realize the alternative. Betraying your purpose to maintain loyalty to everyone's expectations means living a life that isn't yours. Every person in your life has expectations of you. Your parents expect certain choices. Your friends expect you to stay the same. Your partner expects specific behaviors. Society expects conformity. Your boss expects availability. And somewhere in this web of expectations, your own vision gets suffocated. The uncomfortable truth is that growth requires betrayal, not of people, but of their limiting expectations of you. When you decide to start that business, some friends will feel betrayed because you're no longer available for endless hangouts. When you commit to your health, family members might feel judged by your new choices. When you pursue your passion, people will accuse you of changing. They're right. You are changing. And that's exactly the point. Machiavelli understood that meaningful lives are built by people who prioritize their vision over comfort. He saw countless individuals who sacrificed their potential on the altar of not disappointing others. They stayed in hometowns they'd outgrown, careers they'd outgrown, relationships they'd outgrown, all because leaving felt like betrayal. But here's what they discovered too late. The people who truly love you want you to thrive, even if it means disappointing their expectations. The ones who guilt-trip you for growth aren't concerned about your well-being. They're concerned about their comfort. Your vision for your life is sacred. It's the blueprint of your potential, the map to your fulfillment. When you abandon it to meet everyone's expectations, you're not being kind. You're being cowardly. You're choosing short-term peace over long-term purpose. This doesn't mean being cruel or abandoning people. It means honest conversations. I love you, but I can't live your vision for my life. It means accepting that some relationships will change or end. It means trusting that the right people will adjust while the wrong ones will reveal themselves. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Vision over comfort. Number 7. Accept that you'll be misunderstood. Machiavelli himself was profoundly misunderstood. For centuries, people have called him evil, cynical, and manipulative, often without actually reading his work. But he understood something crucial. Being misunderstood is the price of authenticity. When you live for yourself, misinterpretation is inevitable. Here's why this matters to you. Right now, you're probably contorting yourself into shapes that fit others' understanding. You're dumbing down your ambitions so they don't seem arrogant. You're hiding your struggles so you don't seem weak. You're performing a version of yourself that's easy for others to categorize and comfortable for them to accept. But authentic living means accepting that some people will completely misread you. They'll call your confidence arrogance. They'll call your boundaries selfishness. They'll call your ambition greed. They'll call your standards judgmental. They'll call your independence cold. And you know what? That's their interpretation, not your reality. Machiavelli knew that explanation has limits. No matter how clearly you communicate, some people will filter your words through their biases, insecurities, and worldviews. They'll create a version of you in their minds that has little to do with who you actually are. Fighting this is exhausting and futile. The freedom comes when you accept this. When you stop trying to control everyone's perception, you stop living in the prison of their potential misunderstanding. You make decisions knowing that some people will get it and others won't. And that's perfectly fine. Think about the people you admire most. Chances are they are controversial. Some people love them, others hate them. That's because they're living authentically enough to have a clear identity. The most bland, forgettable people are those who've sanded down every edge to avoid misunderstanding. Your willingness to be misunderstood is directly proportional to your freedom. The more you need everyone to understand you, the smaller your life becomes. The more you accept that misinterpretation is part of the deal, the larger you can live. This isn't about being reckless or inconsiderate. It's about understanding that clarity of character matters more than universal approval. The people who matter will understand. The ones who don't weren't meant to. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Misunderstood but authentic. Number 8. Master the power of strategic distance. Machiavelli advised rulers to understand when proximity serves them and when distance protects them. This wisdom applies directly to your personal life. Not everyone deserves access to you, and protecting your energy through strategic distance is essential for living for yourself. We live in a culture that glorifies constant availability. We're supposed to respond to every text immediately, attend every invitation, maintain every relationship forever. But this accessibility is destroying us. When everyone has unlimited access to your time, attention, and energy, you have nothing left for yourself. Strategic distance means being intentional about who gets your energy. It means understanding that some relationships drain you, while others energize you. It means accepting that just because someone was important in your past doesn't mean they deserve a front row seat in your present. Here's what most people never realize: energy is finite. Every person in your life is either depositing into your energy account or withdrawing from it. If you allow unlimited withdrawals, you'll run dry. Then you'll have nothing left for your goals, your growth, or the people who actually matter. Machiavelli observed that powerful people are highly selective about their inner circle, not because they're cold, but because they understand that intimacy requires energy, and energy must be protected. They know that saying yes to everyone means saying no to themselves. This doesn't mean cutting everyone off or becoming isolated. It means creating tiers of access. Some people get your full presence. Others get polite distance. Some get your vulnerability. Others get friendly boundaries. This isn't fake. It's strategic. It's recognizing that you cannot be everything to everyone without becoming nothing to yourself. Think about the people in your life right now. Who leaves you energized versus drained? Who supports your growth versus keeps you small? Who respects your boundaries versus constantly violates them? Strategic distance means loving people from whatever distance allows you to maintain your peace and progress. The guilt you feel about creating distance, that's programming. You've been told that good people are always available, always accommodating. But availability without boundaries isn't kindness. It's self-destruction. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Boundaries preserve purpose. Number 9. Your time is your life. Spend it like it matters. The ultimate power is control over your own time. When you live for others, you're essentially giving them your life in small, socially acceptable increments. Every hour spent doing what others expect instead of what matters to you. Recover. Think about your average week. How much of your time is actually yours? How many hours are spent in obligations you resent, meetings that don't matter, activities you do only because refusing would disappoint someone? You're trading your life, the only one you get, for others' comfort. This is the most brutal math of existence. Time converts directly to life. When someone takes your time without your willing agreement, they're taking your life. That family obligation that drains you for hours, that's your life. That friend who monopolizes conversations without reciprocating, that's your life. That job that demands your evenings and weekends, that's your life. Machiavelli would look at modern people and be astonished at how freely we give away our most precious resource. We'll fight over money, but we'll surrender ours without thought. We'll protect our possessions, but we'll let others waste our time without consequence. Living for yourself means treating your time as sacred. It means auditing how you spend every hour and asking, is this aligned with my values and goals, or am I doing this to avoid disappointing someone? It means accepting that people will be upset when you start protecting your time, and that's their problem, not yours. Stop seeing time management as about efficiency. Start seeing it as about integrity. When you say yes to things that don't matter, you're lying to yourself about what you value. When you allow others to dictate your schedule, you're saying their priorities matter more than yours. The most successful, fulfilled people are ruthless time protectors. They understand that time is the raw material of achievement and joy. They say no frequently, cancel without guilt, and prioritize mercilessly. This isn't selfish. It's the only way to actually accomplish anything meaningful. Your deathbed won't care about how many people you pleased. It will care about whether you actually lived your life or spent it serving everyone else's agenda. Drop this affirmation in the comments. My time equals my life. Number 10. Define success on your own terms. Success means nothing if it's defined by someone else's metrics. You can climb the ladder perfectly and still end up unfulfilled if it's leaning against the wrong wall. Living for yourself requires the courage to define what winning actually means to you. Society hands you a success template, certain career, certain income, certain lifestyle, certain milestones by certain ages. You're supposed to want the promotion, the big house, the impressive title, the luxury car. But what if you don't? What if your version of success looks completely different? Maybe your success is having time to read every afternoon. Maybe it's living in a small town everyone else wants to escape. Maybe it's a modest income but work you're passionate about. Maybe it's being unknown but deeply connected to a small group of people. Maybe it's adventures over possessions, experiences over status. The problem is that admitting your real definition of success often invites judgment. People will call you lazy if you don't want the corner office. They'll call you irresponsible if you prioritize travel over savings. They'll call you unambitious if you're content with simple pleasures. So you hide your real desires and chase their version of success. Wondering why achievement feels empty? Machiavelli studied power and success extensively, and he noticed something. The people who appeared most successful were often the most miserable. They'd won games they never wanted to play. They'd earned approval from people whose opinions didn't actually matter. They'd sacrificed everything authentic for things that looked good externally. Here's your assignment. Write down what success means to you, not what it should mean, not what would impress others. What actually fills you with satisfaction and joy. This is your private definition. Your real scoreboard. This is what matters. Then compare that to how you're actually living. The gap between your true definition and your current life is the cost of living for others. That gap represents all the energy you're putting into someone else's game. Closing that gap requires courage. It means potentially disappointing people. It means being misunderstood. It means living differently than your peers. But it's the only way to reach the end of your life and feel like you actually lived it. Drop this affirmation in the comments. Success is mine to define. Machiavelli wasn't teaching you to be cruel, selfish, or uncaring. He was teaching you something far more important. That you cannot live a meaningful life if you're constantly performing for an audience. That the approval of others is a terrible compass for your own life. That self-respect requires the courage to prioritize your own vision, values, and time. The path to living for yourself isn't easy. It will cost you some relationships. It will invite criticism. It will require you to sit with discomfort as you disappoint people who've grown accustomed to you being who they need you to be. But the alternative is worse. Reaching the end of your life and realizing you never actually lived it. You just played the role everyone else wrote for you. Right. Now, you have a choice. You can close this video, feel momentarily inspired, and then return to the same patterns of people-pleasing and external validation. Or you can let this be the moment you draw a line. The moment you decide that your one precious life belongs to you, not to the crowd. Start small. Pick one area where you're living for others' approval. Maybe it's your career, your relationship, your daily schedule, your silence on things that matter. Make one decision this week based purely on what you want, regardless of what others will think. Watch what happens. If this video resonated with you, subscribe to the channel because we're building a community of people who refuse to sleepwalk through life. Share this with someone who needs permission to live for themselves and drop your chosen affirmation in the comments. Let's create a thread of people committed to authentic living. Remember, you get one life, not a dress rehearsal, not a trial. Run one actual life. 500 years ago, Machiavelli understood what many still haven't learned. That life belongs to you. The question is, will you finally claim it? I'll see you in the next video. Until then, live deliberately.